Hi guys. Next topic. There are two things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about congruency, and we're going to talk about midpoint. Okay. So the first thing is congruency. Congruency is a fancy term in geometry for meaning the same. So when we talk about things being measured, like we talked about yesterday, line segments. Like if a line segment is 12, right? If you were to cut that in half, you have a line segment of 6, a line segment of 6. Those two line segments are congruent. They're the same. We often depict congruency by little tick marks on each side of the picture. So if I was looking at something like this, I know that this side length with one tick and this side length with one tick are congruent. They are the same. Additionally, I know that this opposite side and this opposite side are congruent because they have two tick marks. Looking at this triangle, these two sides are the same, but this one is not. They are not. This side is not congruent with these two because it does not have a tick. Okay. Congruency is super easy, right? Let's use the figures down here to determine if they are congruent, right? Yes or no. So we're looking at line segment EF and FG. So EF is this one, 6 feet on this side, and FG over here is 8. Is 6 feet and 8 feet the same? I hope you're all saying no. 6 feet and 8 feet are not the same thing. So those two line segments are not congruent. Okay. When we write this, we're going to write EF. This is our symbol for congruency. It is, I'll try to make it bigger. It is an equal sign with like a little squiggly above it, like this. Okay, you see that? EF and FG, we decided that 6 feet and 8 feet are not the same, so they are not congruent, so slash it out. Okay? Over here, we're going to look at WX, which is 6 meters, and XY, which is 6 meters. So they are congruent. Yes, they are congruent. So we're going to write WX is congruent to, so my equal sign with the squiggly on top, XY. Easy peasy, right? Congruency is super easy, and we're going to talk about it more when we talk about midpoint. So flip the page. All right, midpoint, okay? The word mid means middle, right? So when we talk about a midpoint of a line segment, it means the center, the point that's right in the middle of our line segment. So if we had something like this, a line segment here, line segment AB, okay? And we know that the whole length of this is 12 inches, okay? Our midpoint would be right in the center at, let's just call it C, and we know that this length and this length had to add up, so each of these lengths is 6 inches, okay? Because that is the halfway point. C is the halfway point of my line segment. Maybe I should scoot this closer. Does that work? Oh yeah, that's so much better. So as you can see, my line segment, 12 inches long. The midpoint breaks it up right in half, okay? I love these kind of questions because all I have to do is divide by 2 to find the midpoint, right? Okay? When we talk about midpoint, okay, a line segment, like let's look over here at AB, okay, we want to know what is in between A and what is in between B, okay? Just like how we tried to find the median, we had to divide it by 2, we have to do the same thing here. So in this case, we're going to add them up. So A is -4 plus a -1 divided by 2 gives me -5 over 2. And you can leave it at that, or just know that that is -2.5. Okay? This is also equal to -2.5. So on that number line, that's my halfway point. AE. So we have -4 is my A, plus my E, which is 4, divided by 2. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0 divided by 2. So I know that my midpoint between point A and point E is 0. All right, this is the easiest stuff ever. Am I right? Yeah, I am right. Ha. Okay. When we move on to next unit, we're going to talk about what we call a coordinate plane. I think in 8th grade math, you've learned about a coordinate plane, you know what it looks like, that kind of stuff. And we have what we call coordinates, okay? We have an x-coordinate, which is always my first one, and a y-coordinate, which is always my second one. Again, we'll learn this more next unit, but I want us to be sure that we know this. So what we have to do is take our x-coordinates and figure out what is the midpoint of our x-coordinates. So for our x's, we're going to do 8 plus a negative 14 over 2, okay? And we also have to find out what's the midpoint of my y-coordinates. So I'm going to do negative 6 plus 12 over 2, okay? So for my x-coordinates, 8 plus negative 14 over 2, we're going to do 8 plus negative 14, which is negative 6. So that's negative 6 over 2. This cancels out to negative 6 over 2, which gives me the answer of negative 3. Okay? And then my next one, negative 6 plus 12 is negative 6, or positive 6 over 2. That cancels out, and that gives me the answer of 3. So my midpoint of these 2 points is given by the equation, or by the coordinate pair, negative 3, positive 3. Just like that. Okay? I want you to try number 10 on your own. If you don't know what to do, plug it into this formula up here. x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. This is my x variable, the very first one in each coordinate. And this is my y variable on both of them. Go for it. And that's the lesson today, okay? So we talked about congruency, meaning each measure is the same. And then we also talked about midpoint. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? If you do have questions on this, email me, text me. You don't have my number, so don't text me. Don't do that. But email me, message me on Schoology. Let me know if you have questions because we are going to test on this like ASAP. Haha. All right. Thanks, guys.